Hello, everyone. Well, we know that heart health is one of the leading causes of mortality in the world, for that matter, cardiovascular disease. And that's why we wanted to bring this topic today, how Ayurveda can help. We have Dr. Munshi. Dr. Munshi is one of the leading Ayurvedic physicians, and he focuses on Ayurvedic cardiology. He's joining me live from India. Namaste, and thank you so much, Dr. Munshi, for joining me.
Namaste. Namaste, everyone. And a very good evening. I hope this evening, as of now, here it's pretty fresh morning going on in India. Yeah, namaste. That's an ideal word. It is a heartful welcome to my session.
Thank you. So let's just understand the role of Ayurveda in helping with preventing. We should be talking about the prevention part of it in cardiovascular related diseases.
Yeah. So shall we start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, as Amita rightly introduced, yes, I am Dr. Muhammed Usman, an Ayurveda physician from India. I've been basically, when I talk about Ayurveda, Ayurveda is the science of life. We learn many things regarding how to actually manage a life, how to manage the disease, how to prevent a disease. Ayurveda focuses on two things. The one is, the first and the foremost focus of Ayurveda is to prevent the disease, rather treating the diseased one. So better today, for today's session, we'll talk about how to prevent a disease. As Amita was rightly saying, that we are going to talk about the heart health. Yes. When we talk about heart health begins, heart is not different from your body. So you have to first take care of your body, then ultimately your heart would be definitely healthy. So when it comes to that, in Ayurveda, I'll talk about three basic things. Ayurveda has taught divided lifestyle into Ahara. Ahara is the diet, what you take. Vihara. Vihara is the place where you stay, your environment where you stay around. And your Dinacharya. Dinacharya is day-to-day lifestyle, what exactly it has to be. And then the Ritucharya, the seasonal aspects as such. So let me talk about what is an ideal Ahara. Ahara, Ayurveda mentions that your Ahara should have, an ideal Ahara should have, the food should have Shashtik Shali. Shashtik Shali is the rice which has been harvested for 60 days. Mudga. Mudga is the green grams, moreover the lentils. Saindhav, a rock salt, a salt or a pink salt, which is, I'll tell you why. I'll just finish off with this details. I'll come into details why this. Mudga, Saindhava, Amalaki. Amalaki is the gooseberry, and Yava is barley. Yeah, these 5 things, and later I'll talk to you after this. I'll talk to you why. After this, I'll talk to you what next to be eaten. 8 as such. So these 5 things. Coming to Shashtik Shali, why Shashtik Shali? Why 60 days harvested rice? In Ayurveda, the rice which is being harvested after 60 days is considered to be lesser in kapha. When we talk about heart disease in Ayurveda, it is said that it is predominantly because of the kapha or meda in the body. When you talk in some sense, I couldn't correlate exactly to kapha would be so, but I'll tell you what. Kapha is nothing but some thickest thing in the body, some thick slimy thing in the body. And the meda. Meda is the fat accumulated in the body. Yes? Yeah. This is something called kapha and meda are predominant if increased. I'm not talking everything. Ayurveda talks about a balanced dosha concept. Dosha is vata, pitta, and kapha. But when any of these 3 decreases or increases, they get disturbed, imbalances, that is causing a lifestyle disorder. So when you talk about balancing about this, I'll talk about when I talk about heart diseases, predominantly in heart diseases, there's kapha, which has been increased, or maida or fat that has been increased. So we have to cut down, or we have to, I don't say cut down, you have to balance these things. And to balance these things, to balance the kapha, these 5 things are very much necessary. When we talk about Shashtik Shali is 60 days harvested rice, which is having lesser kapha predominant. It is free from most of the carbs. Usually, when we talk about rice is usually rich in carbohydrates. But this rice, what I'm talking about, 60 days harvested rice, is moreover lesser. As compared to the normal rice, it is lesser in carb content. So Shashtik Shali would be ideally helpful to bring down your carbohydrates, okay, which would later in turn increase, if not metabolic, excess of carbs again would lead to deposition of fat. Then fat, of course, excess of fat sometimes may get dislodged into some of your arteries, vessels, and then somewhere hamper your blood flow. And when of course, then the pathology begins. Something goes wrong. When your blood get hampered somewhere or blocked somewhere because of that excess fat being accumulated in your vessels, heart functioning would not be normal then. So if this is so, Shashtik Shali would be an ideal option, a 60 days harvested rice, or some rice which is older, not newly. Okay, in a normal sense, it's an older rice, which is more than 6 months old. It's not been recently harvested. It's a 6 months older rice, which is lesser in carbs. Shashtik Shali is over. And mudga. Mudga is green gram or lentils. Now, why green gram and lentils? The obvious reason is they are rich in flavonoids. Okay, they are rich in proteins. Nowadays, you see, there is much requirement of proteins for a day. Every human needs 1 gram protein per kg body weight, which is not actually going on today in today's lifestyle. We are back of having the flour-rich food, which is like bakery items, yeast, the bread, all sorts of things which are actually increasing kapha, but we never thought about which are actually increasing our carbs, the junks, what we have nowadays, the fryums, the fries, deep fried items as such, all these things, they are actually increasing the kapha here. And in turn, increasing the maida or fat. So they are increasing the carbs, they're increasing the fats, they're increasing the trans fat, which is actually not necessary. So it's better we have lentils, sprouts. When you talk about sprouts, lentils, they never ever have raw sprouts. Raw sprouts, for some time, it is still okay, but every day you couldn't have. Just some seasoned sprouts, seasoned lentils would ideally work out to increase the protein content naturally in your body. So when it is, of course, protein cuts down the excess carbs. And when we cut down the excess carbs, of course, you're cutting down excess fat too. So this is second thing. I talked about Shashtik Shali, a 60 days harvested rice, or an older rice, a rice which is more than 6 months old, which is that, and mudga or green gram, lentils, which are rich in flavonoids, rich in proteins. Okay. And Saindava, I was talking about Saindava. Saindava is a rock salt. Saindava is a pink salt. I'd say nowadays it's always ever famous in the name of pink salt. Why pink salt over the regular table salt what we use? Why? When we talk about hypertension, you're seeing people with hypertension or high blood pressure. Why is it so? It is because we in our day-to-day life are having the people with high blood pressure, or regularly we are having something called as table salt. Table salt is actually a real culprit for getting up, raising your blood pressure, which is, see, blood pressure in turn increasing, with ultimately somewhere hampering your heart functions. So let us bring down the blood pressure first, which is ideally a constitutive factor for heart disease. So to bring down the blood pressure, we have to take care or to consciously control our salt intake. Why table salt? Why pink salt over table salt, regular table salt? Table salt is rich in sodium. Okay, sodium is hygroscopic, which is loving water. What it does now, sodium when gets into a body, it takes up, it absorbs all your water, and what is left then? There's nothing. Water in the blood. And what is left then? All your blood cells will get down, settle at a place, and then they couldn't move out properly, and ultimately hampering the blood function, and ultimately heart couldn't get the blood, and that's where again a heart attacks or something would be possible. So now, why pink salt? Because pink salt is rich in potassium. It is sparing water, and which is actually helpful. When we talk about potassium, potassium is actually needed to maintain your heart functions properly. So that is why I would suggest pink salt over any white table regular salt. So we have done with the Shashtik Chali, we have done with the mudga or green gram or lentils, and saindava. Now coming to the fruit. What fruits? Amalaki. Amalaki is gooseberry. Why I was talking about gooseberry? Everyone is known about gooseberry. Why gooseberry is actually required? Gooseberry, I hope everyone is aware about gooseberry, but yes, gooseberry is something which is actually rich in vitamin C. Okay. And the good thing about the gooseberry is the only fruit which is richest source of vitamin C in every season, in every form. Be dried, be any time you take, it is still the gooseberry, it is still the rich source of vitamin C. And today, gooseberry is the gold standard for antioxidants, isn't it? Everything in our body is taking place, and whatever goes wrong, the lifestyle disorder, whatever goes wrong in our body is all because of oxidative stress. Our body is undergoing degenerative changes, and that is natural, but we are hastening that degenerative process because of our lifestyle. Hurry, burry, curry kind of lifestyle, wherein we don't have any relations with vitamin C, we don't have any relations with antioxidant. So here is where I would suggest you, as everyone says, an apple a day keeps a doctor away, but I would like to say here in Ayurveda, an amalaki, a gooseberry a day, would definitely keep your heart disease away. Any form, a source of gooseberry every day. Be it you can soak it into sugar pulp. You can just keep it soaked. Every day you can have one gooseberry. Pieces of gooseberry soaked into sugar pulp, a little of a sugar, whatever you require. Else, if you don't like to take it raw. Take it raw, pieces of gooseberry a day. That would definitely help you to gain all sources of vitamins and minerals required for your body on a regular sense. And yes, it is rich in vitamin C, so it is rich in antioxidant. Why antioxidant? It will definitely bring down your aging process. So when aging process comes down, of course, your heart would be younger. You'll be younger from heart again. So a gooseberry a day would definitely keep your doctor away, especially the heart disease away. So I was talking about gooseberry is over, sastikan, shali, mudgar, amlaki, and yava. Barley would be an ideal food, what we would like to suggest. Barley is one of the richest food which is having rich in proteins. So basic idea is to say, when we talk about all these aspects of food, the basic idea is to say these are rich in proteins, lesser in carbohydrates, rich in antioxidant, and richer in protein, richer in all flavonoids and whatever sorts of vitamins you require. So this is idea is to say you have to cut down your carbs. So you have to have a 60 days old rice. You have to have gooseberry. You have to have fresh lentils. And coming to how your plate should actually look when you every time consume your diet. Okay, your plate should consist of around a 25% of raw vegetables. Okay, when you talk about raw vegetables, some people are not used because Ayurveda also talks about temperament. Every human has some different temperament, like our fingerprints. Okay, so every food, not all food suits to everyone. So when we talk about having vegetables, 25% of vegetables, I would suggest you it shouldn't be every time raw. It need not be every time raw. It needs to be a properly cooked one, not properly, at least some seasoned food, boiled fruits, boiled vegetables, I'd like to share, not raw. Because, yeah, of course, people say raw vegetables are still good. They're anti-aging, they're antioxidant, but at certain point of time, they would actually hamper your tummy, yeah, metabolism uptake. Because though, yeah, they say we humans are not different from animals. The animals are ancestors of ours. But now, since we have urbanized a lot, our tummy couldn't digest that raw vegetable as animals have. So we just need to have, because that's why God has given us something to cook with us. So let us have a boiled vegetables seasoned with some pink salt as such would ideally helpful. Some pink salt, slight pepper, and lemon over it, lemon juice. And yes, of course, you would definitely enjoy a very relish snack with all-time meals of yours. So this is what I was talking about. This is 25% of your plate should consist of vegetables, either in raw form or a boiled form or cooked form. This is what I have. And yes, apart from that, I suggest you have to have a complete ideal diet is, and coming to bread, what sort of bread you have to have. When you talk about bread, you have to, your ideal flour, what you make the bread out of, should consist of millets, a little of millets, a little of wheat, a little of jowar, a little of asafoetida, yeah, and a little of fenugreek seeds in it. And yeah, of course, sometimes this is what an ideal flour, and you got to have. I'd like to suggest that never ever have the bread which has been baked into oven. I'd like to suggest that you can have a bread which is here in India we call it as fulka. Fulka is something which is you roll with a rolling pin, and you a bit you roast it on a tawa, a pan, frying pan, a pan, and then a half is roasted on directly on the flame, a mild flame. That's what bread what we have in India, and that's actually suggested to be very high in proteins and lesser in carbs here. So this is what an ideal diet I'd like to suggest. And coming to this is a diet what we had. Everyone loves to have fruits. Yes, everyone loves to have. Apart from the gooseberry, the most needed fruit for your heart is pomegranate. Ideally, pomegranate would be pretty, I mean, very much essential for your healthy heart. Every day, you can either have a juice of pomegranate or directly you can have the granules of the pomegranate. Now, why pomegranate? Of course, pomegranate is also a rich source of vitamin C. Pomegranate would ideally help out to keep your metabolism fit. Pomegranate would ideally help out to keep your aging process, or to cut down or slow down your aging process. And yes, pomegranate is one thing which is hematamic. Hematamic is, it is helping you to build up your red blood cells. It would help your arteries, your vessels, blood vessels to be healthy in an elastic form. Isn't it? To maintain a healthy heart, what is actually required? You require, heart is not, in Ayurveda, heart is not considered heart itself. It is considered to be a system, a cardiovascular system, which includes your blood vessels. I'll just suggest you, Amita, you can answer me. What is good? What is good? Either a stagnant water is good, or something which is flowing is good.
Absolutely flowing. I was going to just say that my computer is running very low in battery, so we'll have to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah, actually just cut down. I'll finish off with this. So this is what I was talking about. For a healthy heart, you have to have the healthy food. And coming to, this was Ahara, what I was talking about. What about Vihara? Your Vihara should include Brahmya Murita Uttishtam. Brahmya Murita Uttishtam is something you got to wake up 45 minutes. I don't say the parameter. I'll just say the parameter 45 minutes before the sun rises. That would ideally help out to maintain your hormone levels in a peak. At that particular time, whatever you do, quickly you can grasp. Same is your health. When you walk in this, you just have to pray for yourself. You can have a brisk walk for around 30 minutes, what I would suggest, or rather, I would suggest until you feel brisk walk. I'll suggest you parameter, not the time matter. Here matters is your capacity to exercise. When you walk, you have to, when you start breathing from your mouth, stop there. That's where you can stop your walk and come back slowly. Then switch on to pranayama. Let your body now cool down. Switch on to pranayama, breathing exercises. You can Google in about pranayama. You can get a lot about pranayama. Switch on to pranayama. Okay. This is what I'd like to suggest to start your day with, is a very better exercise. And since the worst thing is here is the sleep, I would like to suggest you have to sleep only in the evenings and not in the afternoons. Except Ayurveda suggests sleep during afternoon only in summer. Never ever you got to sleep during winters or during any season. You're not suggested to have a sleep during afternoon, because that is again the most culprit to cause any lifestyle disorder, be it heart disease. So these are what the healthy tips I'd like to suggest. Okay, Ahara, Vihara, and your exercise.
All right.
This is an ideal thing about keeping your heart healthy. I hope this was all about the preventive cardiology. In our next session, if Amita permit me for next any opportunity in next session to have you, I would definitely deal with some other topics as well. No, thank you, Nourish Talk. Thank you, Amita, for having, and thank you, you lovely audience, for being with me and joining me for my session. Namaste again.
Thank you so much. This is a great way for us to start the weekend of taking care of our heart health. Have a great weekend, everyone. And Namaste and Ayurveda helps you with the prevention. And that's what we are advocating on every single day, a holistic lifestyle. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for support. Bye-bye.